Kind people believe goodness protects them. It doesn't. Kindness does not stop manipulation. It attracts it. You think your empathy makes you strong. But in a world governed by power, empathy without strategy becomes leverage against you. And centuries ago, Machiavelli understood something most kind people still refuse to accept. People are not moved by morality. They are moved by advantage. If you are kind without awareness, you are predictable. If you are predictable, you are controllable. And today, you will understand exactly why. Kind people believe they are building loyalty. What they are often building is dependency. There is a psychological mechanism at play. When you give without demanding structure, when you forgive without consequence, when you accommodate without boundaries, you teach others how to treat you. Not consciously, but behaviorally. Humans respond to incentives. And kindness without strength creates a dangerous incentive. There are no consequences. Kind people fear conflict. Predators calculate it. Kind people assume shared values. Predators assume opportunity. And here is the paradox. The more kind you are without limits, the less you are respected. Because respect is not built on generosity alone. It is built on perceived strength. You can be warm, but if you are never feared, even slightly, you are rarely taken seriously. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." Most kind people want to be loved. They never even consider the strategic value of fear. And that is where control begins. Control requires only one thing: predictability. If I know how you will respond, I can shape the situation. Kind people respond in consistent ways. They avoid confrontation. They forgive quickly. They assume misunderstanding over malice. They give second chances. They over-explain. This makes them emotionally readable, and emotional readability is exploitable. Imagine two individuals. Person A reacts calmly but firmly to disrespect. Person B reacts with discomfort, then explains why they are hurt, then tries to fix the relationship. Which one is easier to manipulate? The one who reveals emotional vulnerability. Predators test boundaries subtly. A late reply, a sarcastic comment, a small lie, a minor betrayal. They observe your reaction. If your response is soft, the pressure increases. Control is not forced at once. It is escalated gradually. Kind people rarely escalate back. They absorb, they tolerate, they rationalize, and slowly they surrender power. Kind individuals are highly susceptible to guilt manipulation because they value harmony, and manipulators weaponize that value. Common tactics. After everything I've done for you, you're overreacting. I didn't think you'd be so selfish. You've changed. Notice the pattern. The manipulator reframes boundaries as betrayal. Kind people internalize that. They question themselves. They feel selfish for asserting needs. They apologize for defending dignity. And every apology without wrongdoing lowers status. Status is psychological currency. Once yours drops, control shifts. Machiavelli understood perception as power. He wrote that men judge more by the eye than the hand, meaning how things appear matters more than what is true. When you appear emotionally unstable, apologetic, uncertain, your authority dissolves. Kind people over-communicate emotion. Predators under-communicate intention. Who holds the advantage? Kind people operate under unspoken agreements. If I treat you well, you will treat me well. But that agreement was never negotiated. It exists only in their mind. This is called a covert contract. You give expecting fairness. They take without promising it. When fairness does not return, you feel betrayed. But they never agreed. You created the expectation alone. Predators understand this. They accept benefits without emotional obligation. They do not assume reciprocity. They exploit asymmetry. Kind people hate asymmetry. They want balance. Manipulators create imbalance deliberately. Why? Because imbalance creates dependency, and dependency creates control. The person who reacts first loses. Emotional reaction signals investment. Investment signals attachment. Attachment signals vulnerability. Kind people care deeply. And caring deeply without control is dangerous. If someone insults you and you immediately defend yourself, you have revealed sensitivity. If someone withdraws affection and you panic, you have revealed attachment. If someone ignores you and you chase, you have revealed insecurity. Predators provoke emotional responses to measure leverage. They escalate only when safe. And kindness often makes escalation safe. Power belongs to the calmest individual in the room. Not the loudest, not the smartest, not the kindest, the calmest. Because calm signals control, and control signals dominance. It is not random. Manipulators do not choose victims emotionally. They choose strategically. Kind people offer high empathy, high forgiveness, high tolerance, low aggression, low boundary enforcement. That combination is ideal. They test, they observe, they advance. A manipulator rarely challenges someone who enforces boundaries immediately. They prefer low-resistance environments. Water flows downhill. Manipulation flows towards softness, and softness without strength invites pressure. This does not mean become cruel. It means become structured. Kindness must be paired with consequence. Otherwise, it becomes permission. Kind people suppress aggression. They fear becoming mean. They avoid dominance. They equate assertiveness with arrogance. But aggression is not evil. Uncontrolled aggression is. Integrated aggression is power. If you cannot intimidate, even slightly, you cannot deter. If you cannot withdraw warmth, you cannot signal dissatisfaction. If you cannot walk away, you cannot negotiate. The shadow side, the part capable of coldness, is necessary. Without it, you are emotionally naked. Machiavelli did not advocate cruelty. He advocated realism. He understood that virtue without strength is fragile, and fragile virtue collapses under pressure first. Enforce small boundaries early, not emotionally, calmly. Second, reduce unnecessary explanations. Over-explaining lowers perceived authority. Third, delay reactions. Pause before responding. Silence creates tension. Tension creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates leverage. Fourth, withdraw strategically, not as punishment, as recalibration. If someone disrespects you, reduce access. Access is privilege. Kind people give access freely. Control comes from controlled access. Fifth, develop emotional detachment. Care, but do not cling. Observe patterns, not words. Words manipulate. Patterns reveal truth. You do not need to be feared in a dramatic sense, but there must be a perception of consequence. People must believe. If I cross this line, something changes. Without that belief, there is no boundary. Kindness with no consequence is weakness. Kindness with consequence is leadership. The difference is internal strength. Machiavelli understood human beings respect structure more than softness. They may praise softness, but they obey structure, and obedience is power. You do not need to stop being kind. You need to stop being naive. Kindness is powerful when paired with emotional control, boundary enforcement, strategic silence, controlled access, integrated aggression. When you combine warmth and strength, you become unpredictable, and unpredictability disrupts control. Manipulators retreat when leverage disappears, because control requires advantage. Remove the advantage, and control collapses. Kind people are not weak, but kindness without strategy is. If you recognize yourself in this, do not feel shame. Feel awareness, because awareness shifts power. You do not need to become ruthless. You need to become composed. You need to understand that morality does not shield you from manipulation. Structure does, calm does, boundaries do. And once you integrate those, you will not be easily controlled again. Most people will watch this and change nothing. You won't. Because now you understand something most kind people never see. Kindness without strength invites domination. Kindness with strength commands respect. And respect is the foundation of power.